mindenkit a SEMA Show-ról, 2023. Itt vagyok Steven Naraskai-val. Én vagyok a John, a Maniacs Garage-tól. Okay, so I'm just kidding. So welcome back, everybody. I'm here with Steven at the SEMA Show, and that was my Hungarian. So I do have some Hungarian roots. I never really put it out there because I don't have anyone to talk to, but in this occasion I can talk to him a little bit because he's Hungarian.
Yep.
But more importantly, he's built this incredible Volkswagen right here that I'm going to let you guys hear about because it's pretty wild. We were walking by and my son's he's just like, and I know this car, I've been following this car, he hand built this stuff. So we want to hear what you got on this thing because it is pretty wild.
Yeah, so it's my 2011 VW GTI. I bought it bone stock when I was 17 years old and just been building it over the years. I'm 25 now and taking it through a bunch of different versions. And then back in 2019, I actually won a golden ticket event to come to SEMA as a young gun builder. And that's kind of what opened the doors for me in terms of the industry side of things, because before that, I didn't even know SEMA existed. I didn't really know about SEMA or the industry at all. I was some kid that went to car meets and shows and stuff like that. So it opened the door and the bug bit me to where I wanted to bring a new version of the car, unveil it on Toyota's Tread Pass, which is a bucket list dream type of situation.
Absolutely.
So yeah, over the years, just been putting together what I wanted. 2.5 years ago, that's when I really started foam shaping the design of the body kit on the driveway outside and going from there. And after I got kind of the base design, brought it into virtual format via 3D scanning and working on refining the whole body kit and bringing it to life there, and then worked with Make It 3D to large format 3D print the entire prototype. So what you see on the car right now is a full 3D printed prototype that I will be making molds of after SEMA and then producing and selling and manufacturing the kit through my company Alcato Concepts. But besides that, the actual build aspect of it started back in February, so not a very long timeline, but took it down to complete bare chassis, did a lot of chassis work in terms of shaving off a lot of stuff, cleaning it up, given that I knew it was going to be a full gutted, pretty much race car. So I wanted to incorporate a lot of form into the car as well, not just given that it's a full functional race car. I wanted to look the part as well, given that most race cars, they don't care about the look. Starting with the engine bay, I swapped in the Volkswagen 2.5 5-cylinder into it, given that it started with the 2.0 4-cylinder out of the GTI. The 5-cylinder is technically from a Golf, Jetta, Rabbit, as it's a naturally aspirated base motor, but it's commonly used to do turbo setups on as like a budget RS3. So did exactly that, paired the turbo with it and did a Sidewinder setup, given that I pretty much removed everything not necessary to be in the engine bay and cleaned it all up, and then used a bunch of cool details in terms of the exhaust manifolds actually from a Lamborghini Gallardo.
Oh, wow.
Given the 2.5 is technically half of the 5.0 V10. So the manifold directly bolts up, and it placed it perfectly for the turbo setup I had in mind in terms of the positioning.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And then just every part around the engine, just put my own touch into it, and all the parts around it. Worked with a bunch of great companies like Integrated Engineering, Vibrant for all the plumbing on the vehicle, Boost Lab, Turbo Smart, just a bunch of great companies to play in part with setting up the engine bay how I wanted to. And then dipping into the interior, that's where there's, like I said, a lot of cleanup in terms of the chassis, and then a lot of custom work in terms of the full cage structure, all the interior paneling. So worked with a company called Cage Kits to where they flew out, 3D scanned the whole interior of the car, and the whole cage structure and all the paneling was all designed in 3D based off of the 3D data. So the cage structure, everything was using their CNC tube bender, laser, and everything. And then I worked with Blood Motorsport out in Torrance for all the actual fabrication in terms of the welding. So he actually TIG welded all the cage structure in. He killed it on that. And then same thing with all the boost piping, the turbo, exhaust, all that type of stuff. He knocked it out of the park with the fabrication work. But Yeah.
It's so cool. It's so cool to see the younger guys, you know, just using technology to do this stuff, right? Because I'm old school. We did stuff, you know, by hand and had to kind of figure it out and hand bend it and just do it like that, right? But it's just so cool to hear the integration, you know, of the technology and then kind of bringing that onto life, you know, so like the CNC stuff. And I mean, that's just really, it's a whole different world.
It opens the door to different ideas and different things that normally would take months to accomplish when it could be designed in 3D and brought to life in a matter of days.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, and it's something that I'm excited to see the community start using, in the industry, start using more and more, and then just the development of all the equipment and technology to become more affordable, given that it's still not at the level to where a lot of stuff is like production worthy or fairly inexpensive. It still is fairly expensive, and I'm excited to see it keep growing and be able to be more user-friendly for the majority of the community instead of the select individuals.
I love the exhaust exiting the hood. I'm a little partial to that, right? Because ours comes out the hood.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
It's just really cool, you know. But I'm wondering, what kind of wheels are you running on this thing and what size are they? Because they look pretty massive.
They are. So I partnered up with Rotiform, and this is a brand new design that's revealed on the car called the KPRs. And the actual wheel specs, it's 18 by 12, -25 front and rear. So it's a completely squared setup, and then using Toyo R888's 315 3018. So it's a pretty meaty setup, but I made sure that everything clears. I could go full lock steering up front. So given that developing the body kit and producing that for the actual public to buy and put on their cars, I needed to do my due diligence and exactly. But yeah, it's a very wide setup, and like the license plate I've had on the car for the past like 5 years is not wide. So definitely did justice to that license plate with the body kit and the wheel setup.
What was like the most challenging part, you think, so far on this build?
The body kit has been a lot. So when I first started shaping it out of foam, I had no experience with that, no experience with fiberglass or just anything to do with creating parts for a car in terms of body kits or anything. So it was a lot of learning, a lot of studying, asking people like how to do this, how to do that. And it's just been a long process. I started it 2.5 years ago, so most people would quit or give up. A lot of people who started shaping parts out of foam have given up. So there was a lot of stigma around when I started that whole process of people not believing or me taking so long or this and that. And I just had this vision and just wanted to accomplish this and bring this to life, and I just kept on going. And that was a very time-consuming, stressful, it was just a long, long process, and I'm very glad that I just kept on going with it.
And you know, that's a perfect segue, because one of the things that we try to encourage people out there, you know, we got followers who are younger, we got followers who are older, you know, and you know, we just encourage them to, you know, if they have any inspiration to get out there and do something, to really just go do it and start, and don't give up, right? Because you can get into something, you just have to keep figuring out, keep working through it. And sure, you're here now, and this thing's a pretty wild beast, but at some point it started out fairly humble, you know, with not much money, and just kind of, you know, figuring it out. And so that's something that we try to put out there. Just, you know, hey, if you want to get into cars, start somewhere with it, you know, and then keep pushing through. And then it ends up, you know, being in a place like this, and have the prestige of being with Toyo, you know, and actually having some really cool sponsors. Another thing that, you know, being in the industry for a long time and built many projects in the past, you know, when you do hook up with the sponsor, you do follow through, and you say what you're going to do with that, and be at the things that they're, you know, at the shows and the events that you promise to be at, because that's how you end up, you know, continuing building that relationship.
It's your reputation.
I've known too many people that kind of get lucky and they'll get something hooked up, and then after that, that's it, you know, and they just never do anything. So, but how about, like, you know, what's like the most rewarding thing that you think on, you know, this car?
Seeing the vision come to life, given that I've had this in my head for the past 2 years, playing on repeat, having the car on tread pass, just the constant dream cycling in my head every night, leaving the shop at 1 a.m. after a long day working on the car, and just wanting to burst into tears of anxiety and stress and everything. But then having that vision, having that dream just playing it on loop in my mind, and that's what just kept me going. And having it come together and here it's just been such a fulfilling and relieving and just it's a dream come true. It literally, like, as cheesy as it literally is a dream come true.
And then icing on the cake is that you have tons and tons of people walking by it and just going crazy over it, right? So that's got to feel good.
It does. It feels good sharing my story. People being able to see this here, and then me being able to actually talk about it, share the story, and hopefully inspire others to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, why don't you share with our audience, how they can find you, where they can see more about this car, and then also about the body kit, because that's going to be available at some point.
A bulk of everything is through my Instagram, typical Steven. And then, yeah, you could see pretty much the past years of progress, where the car started, how it's gone through all the different versions. And then the body kit is Alcatel Concepts, so that's the company there. I have an Instagram there as well. But yeah, you could find anything there. If you have any questions about anything on the car, I answer all my DMs and messages, and I just try to be as helpful, because I started in the same place as everybody. I started knowing nothing. This was my first car that I bought 8 years ago, and I started with nothing, and I reached out to people, and unfortunately a lot of people didn't answer questions or didn't respond, and I try to do the opposite. I just try to be as helpful and informative as possible, just because everybody starts in the same boat.
Yeah, so make sure you guys give them a follow there. And I wanted to also mention the Alcatel Concepts, so that's actually a Hungarian word.
Yep.
And it's like builder, creator, something like that.
Creative, right? Creator, yeah.
So really cool. We started this interview in Hungarian, and I think we're going to finish it in Hungarian. So, köszönöm szépen.
Köszönöm szépen.
Beszéltél velünk?
Igen, nagyon jó.
I'm going to go back to English because we're going to see you guys in another video.